Hello and welcome back, Benvenido to Infinite Jeff, the project where I, Jeff, read the book Infinite Jest 2 pages at a time, 1 day at a time, at least until I'm caught up next week, or in 2 weeks or so, week and a half, whatever, doesn't matter. Infinite Jest is a book by David Foster Wallace, a post-modern masterpiece. It's also ridiculed and mocked, and I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting book. I can definitely tell you that. But we're only 120 pages in, because we're on page 120. So yeah, let's. Well, yeah. It's currently June 29th. Year is 2020, the year of our Lord. 6:06 p.m. Gonna knock out a couple of these, couple of Finnegan's Wakes, and I gotta go to Costco and pick up some shit for my mother, because I'm going to see her tomorrow, and she's been staying away from the Costco because of the COVID. Blueberries, Skinny Pop. Blech. You know, I went this morning to get shit for my sister, because I'm also going out to my sister's to pick up my nieces tomorrow, take them to the dentist. And my mom was like, "Eric, can you do this?" And I can't go tomorrow morning because it would be too early. Gotta be to my sister's around 8:30, around 9 o'clock. The appointment's at 10. Costco doesn't open the earliest at 9. I could make it work. So I'm just gonna go tonight. Although I really was like, oh man, I don't want to go again. But I'm going to stop at GameStop, maybe bribe myself with a game, because, like, that's how it works sometimes. I gotta bribe myself with a video game, or something fun. Playing Majora's Mask for the N64 right now. I had to whip out the my actual N64 and cartridge, because I do not own the 3DS version, and honestly, I don't want to play a, 40-hour game on the 3DS. And I have yet to find a way to output that to my TV. So that was, but I also own, and I didn't want to play it on the Virtual Console. It's the games that are originally mapped to the N64 controller, they don't, it doesn't translate well to other controllers, I've found. The GameCube controller is fine, which would be fine, because I do have the Collector's Edition, which includes, of course, the original Legend of Zelda and the sequel, Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link, which were originally released for the NES, does not include the next game that was released, which was Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo, because that had recently been re-released at the time for the Game Boy Advance. So they wanted you to buy that instead of this Collector's Edition, which you couldn't even buy retail. You either had to get an Nintendo Power subscription, you had to buy a special edition GameCube, or you had to register like 4 games with Nintendo, and they would send you this. And it's kind of valuable now. And I don't own the box, but I do own the disc. And so it includes those first 2 games. Doesn't include Link to the Past, nor Link's Awakening, which would be the next game, which for the Game Boy. Because that had been recently released. Well, at that point it was about 6 years old. So, but, I can see why they didn't put that on there. But they did have the N64 game, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and then its sequel for the N64, Majora's Mask, whereas, and Majora's Mask, I would play it for that GameCube, compilation that I'm describing, but it has this issue where if you try to, basically it can freeze randomly, and due to the way that game saves, a freeze will fuck up your day, because you'll lose a lot of progress. You can't just do something and save. You have to, pack all this stuff in, and then it's frustrating. So I've tried to play it a couple times on the GameCube, and it just froze, when you're 10, 15 hours in, which is just frustrating. If it freezes an hour in, okay, I wasted an hour. If it freezes at the end, I got to do most of it. Freezes 30% away through the game, but you've already spent 15 hours, or whatever, 10 hours, some amount of hours, and it's god damn it. Because, you've set me back 3-4 hours, literally 3-4 hours of gameplay, and it's really frustrating. Really frustrating to have to repeat that much game. So you just say, fuck it. But I had an itch, and I'm like, damn it, I'm going to whip out the N64. And sure enough, and I'm having a great time. So that was what I'm doing. This is a page 120 of Infinite Jest. Here we go. Call could come at any time. The man wants a mano-to-mano interface. You'll hear him say it over and over. What have you got to give? What are you willing to part with? I see you're looking a little pale there, Wagenknecht. Is this scary, you bet? You little pink personal ass, is it scary? It's the big time. He'll tell you straight the fuck out. It's about discipline and sacrifice and honor to something way bigger than your personal ass. He'll mention America. He'll talk patriotism, and don't think he won't. He'll talk about its patriotic play that's the high road to the thing. He's not American, but I tell you straight out right here, he makes me proud to be American. Mein Kinder. He'll say it's how to learn to be a good American during a time, boys, when America isn't good to its own self. There's a long pause. The front door is newer than the wood around it. I'd chew fiberglass for that old man. The only reason the buddies in VR8 can hear the little bursts of applause from the foyer is because Struck won't hesitate to pause and consider silently as long as he has to. To the kids he pauses spelled dignity and integrity and the still water depth of a guy with 9 years in at 3 different academies and who has to shave daily. He exhales a slow breath through rounded lips, looking off up at the ceiling's galoche border. And I'm looking that up. That's let's see. G-U-I-L-L-O-C-H-E.
Galoche.
Galoche. Architectural ornamentation resembling braided or interlaced ribbons.
Galoche.
All right. He exhales a slow breath through rounded lips, looking off up at the ceiling's
Galoche.
border. Mobes, if it's me, I let it ride. You let it out come what may? A la contraire. I let it ride around inside all day if I have to. I make an iron rule. Nothing escapes my bottom during play. Not a toot or a whistle. If I play hunched over, I play hunched over. I take the discomfort in the name of dignified caution. And when it's especially bad, I look up at the sky between points and I say to the sky, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?" "Thank you, sir. May I have another?" Gopnik and Talat Kelpsa are writing this down. Struck says, "That's if I want to hang in for the long haul." One side of the gingival mound, then up over the apex and down over the other side of the gingival mound, using what you should cultivate a certain amount of touch with the string. Now, the big question of character is, do we let a fluke of a probably 1 in 100 lapse in concentration make us throw up our faggy hands and go dragging characterlessly back to our dens to lick the whimpering wounds? Or do we narrow our eyes and put out the chin and say Pemulus? We say Pemulus, double or nothing, when the odds remain so almost crazily stacked in our favor today. So do they do it on purpose? Beak is asking. Try to make us hate them? Limits and rituals. It's almost time for communal dinner. Sometimes Mrs. Clark in the kitchen lets Mario ring a triangle with a steel ladle while she rolls back the dining room doors. They make the servers wear hairnets and little Obgynish gloves. Hal could take out the plug and nip down into... Yeah, so that was page 120 of Infinite Jeff. Infinite Jeff. Infinite.
Jab, 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 jab,